managed to get in his.
Dis-moi pour qui Vaudouisant yo divisé, religion mal documentée, et rituel yo aussi varié. Dis-moi pour qui yo dit c'est religion fait noir, nous dit c'est religion la paix, mais n'utilise elle pour faire mon paix. Colon yo te reconnaître Vodou c'est fausse nous. Yo fait mauvais campagne contre religion nous. Yo impose un sac pas assemblé avec nous. Pour yo faire un vindou pour contrôler nous.
C'est force nous, c'est croyance nous, pas quitter le tomber, c'est l'essence nous, ou qui doit pas qu'aimer, mais faut respecter.
Dis-moi pour qui, yo marché dit nous c'est Satan, pas ouais fort pour nous défendre, pour ça faut ta gain tête ensemble.
Dis-moi pour qui Vodou a pas ouvri l'école, chaque serviteur a gué pour col, c'est catholique toujours idole.
Volontaire reconnaître Vodou, c'est fausse nous.
Aïe 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 aïe.
Yo mauvais campagne contre religion nous.
Aïe 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 aïe.
Yo impose un sac, pas assemblé avec nous.
Aïe 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 aïe.
Pour contrôler nous. Fuck nous, ini nous.
Aïe 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 aïe, comme c'est force nous,
c'est croyance nous.
pas quitter le tomber, c'est l'essence nous, ou qui doit pas qu'aimer, mais faut respecter.
Dis-moi pour qui, ou comme un beau toujours dans le ciel, y'en a dit l'autre mot, mais coup fiel. Unification nous essentielle.
Dis-moi pour qui nous tout pas qu'à kembe même livre, nous pas kembe yon marche à suivre, la couille tombe en dérive.
Nous prendrons un chemin, sorti d'Aromène, dans toute route n'a présité, prière Guinée.
Esprit yo pas de la guerre, non chimère. Nous c'est petite l'Afrique guinéenne. Louga ou t'es emporté par européen.
AYIBOBO, awo shanago, awo, 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 awo shanago, c'est Vodou nous. AYIBOBO, awo shanago, awo, 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 awo shanago, c'est Vodou nous. Quand je n'en fous, oh, 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 oh. Awo, 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 awo shanago, c'est Vodou nous. Quand je n'en fous, oh, 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 oh. Awo, 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 awo shanago, c'est Vodou nous.
Long before the dead started rising on movie screens, before Hollywood turned them into flesh-eating monsters, there was a different kind of zombie. One that didn't crave brains, only control. Our story begins with not the Walking Dead, but the ones who made them walk, the Bokor. In the heart of Haiti, under the shadow of the mountains, people whisper about them, the ones who serve with both hands. A Bokor isn't a priest or a prophet. He's something in between. The healer who can also curse, the one who can fix your life or ruin it. They say the Bokor walks both the light and dark, answering not just to spirits of voodoo, but to his own desires. It's said a true Bokor can raise the dead, but not in the way that Hollywood shows it. There's no graveyard thunder, no rotting hands bursting from the dirt. In voodoo, to raise the dead means to take someone's will, not their flesh. This is where the first zombie was born. Word itself comes from West Africa, from the Congo word Nzambi, meaning the spirit of a dead person. When enslaved Africans were taken to Haiti, that word crossed the ocean with them, but it changed. It evolved because in a world where people were owned in life, the greatest fear was being owned in death. To the enslaved, death was freedom. But the idea of bringing someone back to life, not as themselves, but as a soulless laborer, that was a nightmare worse than dying. The zombie became a symbol of ultimate enslavement, a body with no soul forced to serve forever. And this wasn't just legend. Haitian law even acknowledged it. The Penal Code of 1864 warned that substances capable of inducing prolonged lethargy and then exhuming that person counted as attempted murder. That's how real the belief was. People told stories of Bokors using secret powders, mixtures of herbs, bones, and toxins from the pufferfish. Poisons that could slow the heart until even doctors believed you were dead. Then after you were buried, they would dig you up, feed you mind-numbing plants like datura, and then break your mind until you forgot who you were. You'd walk, breathe, work, but your soul, gone. Villagers said those people became zombies, not monsters, but victims. Their eyes empty, their voices hollow, alive, but not living. To Haitians, that was true horror. In 1932, America made its first zombie on screen in White Zombie. It took place in Haiti, but it wasn't about slavery, colonization, or power. Hollywood kept the word zombie, but stripped away its soul, and by the time I Walk with a Zombie came out in 1943, the meaning was already fading. And in 1968, everything changed. George A. Romero released Night of the Living Dead. The zombie became global, but its roots in history were buried under pop culture. Look at your boy Bobby at Watch Real Flicks. Drop a comment and let me know how you felt about the origin of the zombie and the Bokor. Hey, if you're new to this page, don't forget to hit that follow button.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Brought to you by, powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We are inspired by National Voodoo Day in Benin and led by our local Black community spiritual members. New Orleans International Voodoo Day is a day of collective remembrance and spiritual reparation that is preceded by a symposium and includes a procession to monuments at the sites of enslavement in New Orleans, a ritual to account for and seek absolution for the city's and the country's participation in the institution of slavery, and homage to those ancestors who suffered through and survived the transatlantic slave trade. Honor and honor and my goodness. Please forgive me, y'all. That completely threw me off from where I was reading. We invite you to certainly continue to participate, volunteer, and support our National New Orleans Voodoo Day. It is an opportunity for us to come together with our city, nation, and state, Benin, Ouida, Benin, as well as our city, nation, and state, Haiti, under the umbrella of Voodoo Worldwide. We invite your participation across the diaspora, whether you be in Ifa, Santeria, Lukomi, Hoodoo, Root Work, Conjure. We invite you to come out and participate, support, sponsor, volunteer, promote, and be a part of this powerful, legendary event. We invite you to visit us at www.vodouday.org. Again, www.voodooday.org for more information, coming updates, as well as opportunities to donate, sponsor, and join us. And we're grateful for your continued support and participation in this live 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday podcast. Greetings, S. Marie. Thank you so much for your continued support and participation. BM 4406, greetings and salutations to you and yours. The Goddess 9305, thank you for your continued support and participation. Thank you so much to Daniel Neal, a faithful member of our community, and the beloved Mambo Sally and Glassman. Thank you so much for your support and participation in visitation to this nightly podcast. And we're certainly grateful for the continued endeavors, support, and dedication of our beloved co host, Elder Reggie. We identify here as Green Soap, leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth, and faithful committed member of NOIVD. Our beloved Queen Mother, Sister Toni Val Martinez, community activist and agitator, and faithful committed supporter of NOIVD, and my beloved first priest, armor bearer, and wild man, Joshua Nylan Tanner, faithful, committed, initiated member of the Source Hanfur, and committed committee member for NOIVD. And we again are grateful for your continued support, participation, and please do share, like, reshare, promote the podcast. We certainly do appreciate your endeavors. I want to talk tonight a little bit, beloved, about West African divination, and particularly West African divination, Afa, Dafa, Fa divination, Ifa divination, and its usages in Central and South America, the US, and certainly Haiti. Beloved seekers of wisdom, let us embark on a journey that spans continents, centuries, and cultures. Tonight, I speak of West African divination systems, Afa, Dafa, Fa, Ifa, depending on the ethnic tongue, the ethnic group for which is being spoken through, and their remarkable survival and transformation across the Atlantic. This is not merely a story of ritual, it is a story of resilience, of cultural memory, and of the human desire to converse with the unseen. In the lands of the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Fon, divination was never a marginal practice. It was central to life. Ifa divination, rooted in Yoruba cosmology, is overseen by the deity, some would say the Orisha, we know as Orumila, the deity of wisdom and destiny. And through sacred verses known as Odu, practitioners called Babalao, Ianifa, Bokur, and other various titles and positions consult palm nuts or cowrie shells to reveal guidance from the spiritual world. And among the Igbo, for example, Afa divination is described as a cosmic language, a way of speaking with nature and the gods. It is not just prediction, it is communication, a dialogue with forces that shape existence. And similarly, the Fon people of Benin practice Fa or Dafa, a geomantic system that shares structural similarities with Ifa, emphasizing patterns, signs, and interpretations. And these systems are not superstition, they are libraries of oral knowledge containing philosophy, ethics, medicine, and history. Each divination session is a lesson, a reminder that human life is woven into a larger cosmic fabric. The Middle Passage and the diasporic survival of the Fa and Ifa cannot be overstated. When millions of Africans were enslaved and transported to the Americas, they carried these traditions in memory, in whispered prayers and hidden rituals, and their ability to count. And despite brutal suppression, divination survived. It adapted, it disguised itself. In Cuba, Ifa became a cornerstone of Santeria and Lukumi, blending Yoruba cosmology with Catholic imagery. In Brazil, it merged into Candomblé, where oracles are consulted to guide community decisions. In Haiti, Ifa and Fa resonated within Voodoo, where divination is essential for understanding the will of the Loa and the spirits. And these practices were not just spiritual, they were acts of resistance. To divine was to claim agency, to assert that enslaved people still had access to God, to wisdom, to destiny, and ancestral power. And across Central America, particularly in places like Panama and Venezuela, Yoruba and Fon traditions mingled with indigenous cosmologies. Divination became a bridge connecting African spirits with native deities. In Brazil, the Ifa system was preserved with astounding fidelity, with Babalaos continuing to memorize and transmit the 256 Odu from memory. And here, divination is not only personal, it is communal. It guides festivals, initiations, and even political movements. It reminds communities of their African roots while shaping their modern identities. In the US, Ifa and related systems arrived through migration and cultural revival. From the 1960s onward, African Americans seeking reconnection with ancestral traditions embraced Fa and Ifa. Temples were established in cities like New York, Miami, Los Angeles, and certainly New Orleans. And here, divination serves multiple roles: spiritual guidance, cultural reclamation, and psychological healing. It helps individuals navigate modern challenges while grounding them in ancestral wisdom. In a society often marked by disconnection, Ifa offers continuity. Haiti deserves special mention. Haitian voodoo, born of African traditions, is inseparable from divination. Priest and priestess consult spirits through casting, dreams, spirit possession, and ritual signs. In the Fa system from the Fon people of Benin, directly influenced Haitian voodoo, shaping its methods of communication with the Loa. In Haiti, divination is not exotic, it is everyday, and it guides farming, healing, family decisions, and national identity. It was present in the Haitian Revolution when leaders consulted spirits before battles. It remains present today, a living testimony to African resilience. So, what does this all mean? It means that divination is not about fortune telling, it's about wisdom, it's about knowledge, it's about aligning human life with cosmic order. It's about remembering that we are not alone, that ancestors and spirits walk beside us, and that we contain this divine coding within the very DNA in our blood. I often teach, as I was taught, that the coding and the math used for Fa, Dafa, Ifa divination is what fuels our computers. 16 gigs by 16 gigs, creating 256 powers of hertz of powers that fuel our computers. And so across West Africa, Central and South America, the US, Haiti, these systems remind us of a profound truth. Cultures may be uprooted, but they can not be taken away from the root. Knowledge may be suppressed, but it can reemerge. And divination is a language of survival. So, in my closing reflection, as I invite my co-hosts to come on in and share their experiences with divination, forms of divination that they may utilize today and or consult. And as I conclude the monologue, imagine the rhythm of cowrie shells falling on a tray, the sound of palm nuts clicking and clacking in my hands, the voice of a diviner chanting verses that have been memorized for centuries. Imagine that this sound traveled across the Atlantic, hidden in the hearts of enslaved people, and now echoes in the Havana, in Salvador, in Port-au-Prince, in New York, in New Orleans, and beyond. This is the story of Afa, Dafa, Fa, Ifa divination, a story of continuity, resilience, and the eternal human quest to know, to understand, and to live in harmony with the unseen. And I am certainly grateful for your continued support and participation. Please do come on in, beloved Elder Reggie, Queen Mother Sister Toni Val Martinez, and the very invaluable brother Joshua Nylan Tanner. Please do unmute and come on in. All is a blessing, and how you doing?
Hello, everyone in the listening audience and our illustrious panel.
Mhm.
Divination, I don't do divination. I've never done divination. I've rarely seen divination actually done. I never had a reading like that. So maybe someone like Elder Reggie with more experience can address that issue. Elder
Yeah, well,
Reggie?
yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for passing the torch, Sister Toni, Divine Prince. Great show tonight, Brother Joshua.
That's good.
And good. All right, we good in the collective audience. We are here for divination. So, from the podcast text I seen earlier today, I went and grabbed one of my books off the shelf, and the book is called William Bascom, 16 Cowries. And then when I opened it up, I seen some notes to myself, and this was in the year 2000 when I was being initiated as an Ogun priest. I am not a Babalawo, but I have what's called a hand of Ifa. But my hand is consecrated to throw the 16 cowries. And in 2000, when I was studying it, part of the problem I kept running into the Lukumi community people, and with Bascom work and Popo work that I was studying from, they were saying I was getting it wrong, this wasn't right, but I was coming more from an African tradition versus what was going on in the West. So I got frustrated with that. I did. And I walked away from doing the 16 cowrie divinations. So by this time, I'm beginning to work with Melodoma Somé. And so as I learned and worked with him for 3 solid years, I learned another system of divination, and I coined it the elemental divination. It's a divination where I'm working directly with spirits. So say for instance, Sister Toni, if you was in front of me and I'm doing a reading, the spirit in front of me, it is downloading stuff about you to me that I'm going to bring back to you, and you're going to wonder, how do I know it? But the reason I'm able to do that, and I've been doing this reading now, maybe about 15, 16 years, it's the relationship with the spirits. I know I tell you, you have a gnome that protect your house, Sister Toni, but I was initiated in with a gnome that I know is not a human being. But I had to get initiated into the gnome to do the work that I do. And so what that meaning is I have to stand on what I've seen and what I know. It may come off hyperbole, it may come off not necessarily mythical as people would think, but it's a real phenomenon. And so that's the way I do readings, even at the Shrine of the White Cloth, for the people who come to me for readings.
Okay, you say if I'm in front of you and you can tell me things that you shouldn't know about me, that's a spirit telling you those things
Right.
about me?
Yeah, to back it up, I went through an initiation. I went through initiation with an element that is called a contumble. A contumble is basically a half fairy and a half dwarf. So basically what it was, I had to get married. I had to get married to this entity. And so after the initiation of the marriage or whatever, this entity walks with me, and it only works with me with divination.
Okay,
So
because like somebody could stand in front of me and I could just read them without them saying anything or without me saying anything to them.
And that's because there are numerous forms and types of divination. I
Yes.
too started as an empath, as an intuitive, picking up people's thoughts. We'd come out of church on Sunday and the ride home. I knew everybody's business. And as a kid, my mama thought I was just a gossipy, nosy kid. But as I got older and she, as well as other people around me, began to pay attention, they began to see the accuracy of what was being said. So there are other forms of divination. I
Yes.
started, as many of you have, with tarot and oracle decks and even runes and other forms of divination. I was exposed to Jaffa divination in my late teens. But in all honesty, I want to say it was at least 15, maybe 20 years before I got over my fear of it, my anxiety around of it. Some of it Elder Reggie just spoke to, depending on the lineage and the path, they're quick to pounce. And that's one of the lessons that I had to learn, Elder Reggie, is that
Mm.
the fire adjusts itself based on location, based on lineage. The order, for example, of the 16 principal Odus shifts from Lukumi house to Santeria house to Kandabli house, and even within West Africa, depending on lineage, the order of the Odus shift a little bit, and your eights
Mm-hmm.
become ones, and your ones become eights, and numbers have dual meanings. So the amount of time and effort and dedication that the West Africans really are born into to learn this, to gain proficiency into this, it's quite a challenge for many of us here in the West who are coming into these practices much later in life. So it was a good 15 or 20 years before I felt comfortable enough to put down the tarot cards and then really make that shift in confidence to just using the fog. I think many of you met me, Brother Tyson, who's not here, met me working at a crystal shop in the French Quarter, reading tarot, and I was a top tier reader. I'm still a top tier 5-star reader, within the city. But I just find the West African systems to be much more concise, much more specific, uh, which allows me to really shock and awe people and really zero in on that information that you and Sister Toni, often pick up intuitively. I'm sure we all do pick up
Mm-hmm.
intuitively,
Yes.
but I allow the Odu for my confirmation. I don't accept requests. I don't accept work. I often don't accept people, places, and things that I have not thrown Odu on. And let me be clear, I don't care how challenged it might look on the surface. If the Odu says I move, I move. And it will be very specific in terms of how I move. So I had a great aunt who read tea leaves in the bottom of the teacup. She read coffee grinds. You couldn't serve her a cup of coffee that did not. First of all, you couldn't serve her coffee that was not percolated, never instant or any other version. And then it had to have coffee grinds in the bottom of the cup so that she could read. And certainly there's palm readers. There's those that divine or receive divination by way of dreams. So there are many forms of divination and not just the complex and complicated systems that Elder Reggie and I might utilize.
And
We cannot add. Go ahead, Sister
go
Tony.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I wanted to follow up. Now, the difference with me working with a contemplative spirit, different than just having intuition of reading the people. All my readings come with something we call Adamu or Ebo. So after I do a reading, there's work that we're gonna have to do if there's a problem to get that problem corrected. And so I'm being told if it's a four leg, a goat, if it's a red hen, or is it a black hen? Is it a chicken? Is it bearing some money? Is it bearing a turtle? There's different things that the spirit going to enlighten me with to help that situation from the reading we just done. And I just wanted to add that would be somewhat of a difference versus just being intuitive, reading people in the spirit before you. It's the work to complete the work that brought the client there towards you.
Yeah, and see, that's one thing. I don't have clients. I don't have clients. I just have people that come across me, and I just simply look at them, or they'll draw attention to themselves for some reason, and my mind will just go off. Like, really? One time it was this guy where I worked at on a loading dock. Divine, you know, at 650 Poitras, how that's set up, and he would come
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
back all the time and smoke. And when he would be back there smoking, it would just be me and him in that small space, and I was constantly reading him. But at the beginning, we didn't speak. But eventually, by him coming back there so much, and that's the only place I would be at in the daytime, we ended up exchanging words. And he went to tell her, he worked in a law office, and he went to telling me some things that was going on. I said, well, you did real good to come off your addiction and rise up. Boy, that dude stopped and looked at me. He said, my addiction, I didn't mean for it to come out. Like, we was talking and it just came out. And I was like, yeah. You know, I was like, oh shit, yeah. And he said, how you knew that? He said, that was so long ago. I said, yeah, but it was bad, wasn't it? And then I had to open up to him and tell him about how I could know certain things about him and different things. And I actually he actually paid me to do a reading, a numbers reading on him. And I wrote it down for like 9 or 10 pages and gave it to him. And we stayed friends for a long time because I ended up leaving and he was still there, but we was even friends during Katrina. He did some paperwork for me and stuff. But I don't want to know these things unless, and then here go another thing. If somebody's emotional about something, say you lost something and you can't find it, and you tell me and you emotional, you call me on the phone, my mind gonna go and I'm gonna tell you, go look under your couch. You know, and they like, girl, my keys was under that couch. One of them children must have kicked it on their foot. And I never questioned that I could do that because I was doing it so long. I don't intend to do it, but it just pops up.
You know, I think too what Elder Reggie said earlier is a really great distinction between these West African and Aboriginal systems that we use for divination and just an average reader, because our systems require. Let me say it a different way. You're getting more than a reading. It's actually a ritual. It's actually a ceremony.
Yes.
And so that ceremony begins, and then we cast, we throw divination, and then from that, the Odu is created or born on the divination board. And as Elder Reggie mentioned, it's always accompanied by Ebo. The Yoruba word is Ebo, which means sacrifice. I also call it the homework. How do we fix the spirit, change it, bring balance to it, bring adaptation to it? And so I found, again, you know, tarot allows me to read, allows me to see what's going on, but it often does not give you the very specific and detailed information in terms of how to address whatever may be coming to surface, you know, in the course of the reading. And there is that spirit intervention through the ancestors, through Olodumare, through the spirit forces that Elder Reggie mentioned that come through when doing divination. And Sister Toni, you know, a little research, we might discover that your intuition is being brought to you by an ancestor or by a particular group of ancestors or by a spirit, you know, in nature. We certainly believe and understand that voodoo is nature, and there is no voodoo without nature. So there's certain things I can read just in how the birds move, and how many are they, and what direction are they moving in. When we step out, reading water. Many people have a gift of being able to read and scry through fresh water or bowls of water. So there are many forms of divination, many ways that connect us to the language of spirit. If we just be still and be quiet and journal, take notes, and write down that coding, so that you begin to observe what synchronizes. You begin to observe what happens when you dream certain things or you perceive certain things, and you begin to really learn your specific language that connects you to spirit.
Yes, and I could do one follow up before we close out. So let's say you go to Sister Toni. Let's say you go to a shop in the New Orleans area, and you go in the shop and you want to buy a 7-day candle. Now you buying the 7-day candle, but why are you burning the 7-day candle? Let's say if myself or Divine Prince are doing a reading for you, and the 7-day candle comes up as part of the reading, then you pass that on to the client. They need to purchase a 7-day candle. You're not supposed to just arbitrarily walk off the street and buy a 7-day candle, or buy a yellow candle or a blue candle. Those tools are supposed to come from some form of divination. Even if, because what I do a lot of times is I throw my focaris all the time. I learned that in E5, and I learned that with the Melodoma system. Well, it's the Burkina Faso system. But Melodoma was my teacher. But anyway, something got to inform you. Even if you use a pendulum, even if you use, I forget what they call those 2 wires. But if you can ask yes or no, should I burn a candle? Could I use leaves? You could still tap in and get in the information on why you purchasing something, instead of just going in, walking in because you see it, you like it, you purchase it.
Now, when I do buy 7-day candles and other things, I do like Florida water and stuff like that. But I say my spirit tells me, because it become in my head is constantly, I'm hearing, buy a 7-day candle. You need to spray some Florida water. You need to, and if I don't address it, it's gonna keep coming up in my consciousness over and over again until it's like, let me just throw my hands up and go buy this candle. But
Sister
I
Toni,
don't know why
this is a
I'm
beautiful.
buying the candle.
I always have a beautiful conversation with you with that, because you are acknowledging, just like our ancestors did through slavery and after slavery. That is the spirit. You're adhering to the spirit and you're moving by spirit. That's divination. It is.
And you
Because
may
that's what
have
I
what
always
they
say.
used to call a familiar spirit.
There you go. Yeah.
It's just like the other night I had an experience. Oh Lord. My husband Jose came in here and had laid his hand on my forehead, his open hand. And I didn't open my eyes. I woke up and I knew it was him immediately. And I don't like when he come, because it's not good when he come. And I just said, what you want, Jose? And like he was going to answer me back. And when I said that, he took his hand off my head. It's like he just wanted, off my forehead, it's just like he wanted me to acknowledge him being there. And I haven't seen him here since the start of the pandemic. And he talked to me then. He told me something bad was coming, but that it wasn't going to affect nobody in my family. So I just said, that must have was that pandemic, and it didn't affect anybody in my family. So, I don't know what this is, but he came. I acknowledged him, never opened my eyes. But I guess if I would have, at the time, met the Divine Prince much earlier in my life, I may have gotten more into honing what I do or what happens, with me, and now I would be on y'all level, maybe, uh, Mambo Sally level, but I never tried to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there. It's just like watching the TV, washing my hands. It's just a part of my life, and it's just there.
Yes. Well, Sister Toni, can I add one more piece of information before we close out?
Mm-hmm.
Coming to this show every night, you are reaching a handshake out to your ancestors in the spirit world. Because what we are doing every night, this is a ritual, like it or not, even though it might be coined a show. But this is a ritual. The things we are talking about, sometimes some of the things we are preparing before we come on the show, all this is putting us in sacred space. All this is allowing the spirit to inform us. Intuitive, sometimes it brings us to certain paragraphs, a certain readings that divine do. This is spirit sanction. And so when you come in, it's not that we got anything ahead of you. We just moving at different times as the spirit move. But if you continue to come to this show and you continue to talk and speak from the heart and the gut, then guess what? You're on the same level with us. And that's it.
Interesting. But our showtime is coming to a close. And I want to turn it over to the Divine Prince so he can acknowledge our wonderful listening audience on other platforms. And then Elder Reggie is going to do the announcement and give us his words of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
We're certainly grateful for your participation and your support on all platforms in Facebook, my profile, Sister Tony's profile, or the Reggie's profile, our various groups and pages, to our LinkedIn audience, to our YouTube audience. We're thankful and grateful for our Twitter X audience. And certainly we're thankful for our Instagram listeners and participants. Uh, Missy Moni, thank you so much for coming by. Kitty Galore, thank you for coming by. Bella Vixen, thank you. Strong Queen, we thank you. Dinero 248, thank you for coming through. Lestat, thank you for coming through. Nina Lloyd, we certainly appreciate you. And one of my godchildren, Maydas 25, thank you so much for coming through. West Bank 4, we certainly appreciate you. New Power Soul, thank you for coming through, or New Power Soul, thank you for coming through. And we certainly look forward to your joining us again at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on tomorrow night on a social media platform near you. All is a blessing.
Yes. Blessing everyone. Thanks, Divine Prince. As we move forward in the collective chat, we always appreciate you guys being there. But just like I have a scheduled doctor visit physically, a checkup twice a year. And we need to do a spiritual check-in, a checkup sometimes too. And that's what diviners do. And if you could get to a diviner when you can, try to check in and get and see what's going on with you on a spiritual level. That is very, very important. And I just wanted to say that. But so now I'll do the advertisement. Saturday, December the 6th. No, that's different. Oh wow. I was looking for the one on
Yeah,
the
but
ninth
that's,
day. Oh, okay.
yeah, there we have several more added.
Oh, okay,
So
Divine
I
Prince.
have
Thank you for clarity.
four
I'll
days
read
on
them now.
this one. Yeah.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you. Saturday, December the 6th, we have, let me see, that's the Azakai ceremony. Saturday the
Azaka,
13th, okay, yeah, I never heard of it. Okay, Saturday the 13th of December at 6:30 p.m., we had the Gede ceremony. Powerful, powerful. Friday, December the 19th at 6:30 p.m., the New Moon Ritual, and that's going to be at 710 Clewitt Street, the Clewitt's Garden. And then on Saturday the 20th of December at 6:30 p.m., we have a Petro Flame. I'm just not familiar with
yeah,
those
it's
divine Prince. Can you do?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
please.
petrol flaming bath ritual. So we'll be doing cleansings and spiritual baths by way of fire. And then
Mhm.
on the 24th, we are meeting, I believe, on the levee. Hold on, my note just disappeared. Yeah, on the 24th, December 24th, the bonfires on the levee in Luxor, Louisiana.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know about the flaming cleansing ceremony because I had to ask that question what it was earlier this week, remember? So when I
Yeah.
saw it, I was like, oh, they having a fire cleansing. But yes, all right, Elder Reggie, you could go with your
Yeah.
words of wisdom.
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Toni. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. With that, I say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Brother Joshua. We didn't get to hear from you tonight.
Good night.
Apologize. Yes.
Yeah. So, see you guys some more.
Yeah.
All right. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Good night, Odabo.
Good night. Good night.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yet I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down.